EP.5 claimed by the Kingpin, lost in his silence. Audrey's thick lashes fluttered as she met Leslie's piercing green gaze. It felt as though he could see straight through her, beyond her words, beyond her fear, into every fragile thought she struggled to conceal. Sir, she muttered, her eyes wavering. I appreciate your kindness that night. Giving me a ride in that terrible storm, it meant the world to me. Leslie's lips curved faintly, controlled and unreadable. He shook his head once. Audrey. Yes, she answered softly, glancing up before lowering her gaze again. Look at me, he said, his voice smooth but commanding. She obeyed. There's no need to call me sir, or Mr., just call me Leslie. Audrey blinked rapidly. I can't, she stammered, startled by his unexpected warmth. You can't, he arched a brow, calm but intrigued. Is there a reason? She hesitated. Commoners like me can't. Her voice trailed off. Commoner, he echoed, leaning forward slightly, his emerald stare intensifying. What exactly do you mean by that? Audrey's gaze dropped to her lap. Isn't it obvious, she whispered, I'm nothing like you. He studied her carefully. So because your dress is worn out, you classify yourself as a commoner. His tone sharpened slightly. Has anyone ever made you feel that way? Tears gathered in her eyes before she could stop them. They slipped down her cheeks, humiliating and uncontrollable. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry in front of him, yet here she was. There was more behind those tears than he knew. The fact that he had requested to see her still felt surreal, thrilling. The idea that she had occupied his mind left her breathless. Audrey, his voice shifted, now firm. Don't do that, he leaned closer. Tell me, has someone underestimated you? She nodded shakily. Mostly indirectly, she whispered, sniffling. He gave a slight nod. So you assume I see you the same way, don't you? Kind of, she admitted. And why would you think that? She wiped her tears with the back of her palm. Because it's indecent to meet someone like you dressed like this. This is the most presentable thing I own. A flicker of amusement passed through his eyes, not mocking but thoughtful. I almost turned down your invitation, she continued quietly. Because I had nothing worthy to wear. Leslie exhaled slowly and ran a hand through his dark hair. You said it's indecent to meet someone like me, he repeated. What exactly does someone like me mean, Audrey? You're a wealthy mafia boss, she said, barely above a whisper. That broke his composure. He laughed low, genuine, unrestrained. A mafia boss, he repeated, amusement dancing in his eyes. Is that what they call me? Why, yes. Who told you that? You're famous, she answered honestly. I've heard about you. His brow lifted. And what have you heard? Just about your personality, your wealth, and how no one dares cross you. He chuckled again, shaking his head slightly. I'll take that as a compliment, he said. But how does that make you a commoner? She lowered her gaze once more. I never imagined someone like you would want to spend time with someone like me. I've never even spoken to a man of your stature before. Leslie leaned back in his chair, observing her closely. He could already piece together the environment she came from, the quiet belittling, the unspoken dismissal, the erosion of confidence. He drummed his fingers lightly against the desk before speaking. Listen carefully, he said, his tone firm and unmistakably authoritative. There is nothing embarrassing about you, Audrey. From that moment, something shifted inside her. Audrey had never felt so acknowledged in her life. Leslie Russel, a man feared and admired in equal measure, was speaking to her as though she mattered. Rumors painted him as ruthless, dangerous, untouchable. Yet in that room he was attentive, calculated, almost gentle. His words steadied her. He rose from behind the desk and walked around it with controlled strides. Without hesitation, he took her trembling hands into his. His grip was firm but careful as he pulled her to her feet. Then he embraced her. The hug was not casual, it was protective, possessive, powerful. For a brief moment, she forgot that this man commanded empires. Later, she discovered a truth that stunned her even more. The magnificent glass building belonged to him. The empire of polished floors and glittering lights was his domain. She had seen the inscription herself, bold lettering etched across the exterior facade. Leslie Russell's paradise. Power lived there. Influence ruled there. And he owned it all. That night unfolded like a dream. Leslie took her shopping not modestly but extravagantly. Designer dresses, elegant heels, jewelry that shimmered under boutique lights. Luxury followed them from store to store. He walked beside her like she belonged in his world. When she changed from her worn-out dress into an exquisite evening gown, heads turned. Whispers followed. Other women stared openly, especially when Leslie rested a possessive hand at her waist. At one of the most exclusive spas in California, Audrey noticed a woman watching them. Krishna Kali. Beautiful, poised, calculating. The hostility in her gaze was unmistakable. It became clear that Krishna Kali admired Leslie, perhaps obsessively. Yet Leslie did not spare her a second glance. For the first time in her life, Audrey felt chosen. When he kissed her goodbye publicly, it was deliberate, slow, claiming. The memory lingered long after she returned home. But home was different. Her parents reacted with outrage at first, until they noticed the transformation. The new hairstyle, the elegance, the expensive shopping bags. Shock replaced criticism. Questions rained down on her and she answered carefully. One detail, however, remained unspoken. She never mentioned Leslie's name. "Oh, good for you," her mother said, impressed. "Hope you marry him and clear my debts," her father added bluntly. Marriage. The word lingered in her mind, long after the conversation ended. She had never considered such a possibility, not until it was spoken aloud. But then, silence. Leslie never called. He never texted. Days passed, then a week, then two. Hope slowly transformed into anxiety. Anxiety into restlessness. Finally, she texted him. No response. She called. Nothing. 2 weeks and several days had passed without a single word from him. Confusion consumed her thoughts. Had he regretted meeting her? Had she been nothing more than a fleeting amusement in his vast empire? The uncertainty pressed heavily against her chest. And slowly, painfully, the confidence he had built in her began to fracture under the weight of silence.